Well, any legal thing to boost trade and increase FX flow into the country, of course, is welcome. So later on, that signing will be done in Abuja later today. And of course, we'll bring it up to you here on Channels Television, especially on our business program, so you don't want to miss that. But one glaring truth that's facing all Nigerians at this time is the issue of the high cost of living, and of course, how it's affecting, or well, I guess you feel it from the commodities, price of commodities. I had a bag of rice about 70,000 naira, and it doesn't look like it's going down in spite of the announcement by the president, the release of grain, and some state governors have also made directive or given directive, but I guess we would have to wait and see how that goes. Well, let's talk about the cost of living, the price of commodities, and some other salient issues in Nigeria with senior economist with financial derivatives company, Dumebi Oluwole. Hi, Dumebi, good morning.
Good morning, Ini.
Yeah, so I mean, you're a woman. So I mean, when we talk of the price of commodities, I'm sure you feel it firsthand. You feed your family, you go to the market, take the children, and unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's subsiding.
Yes, unfortunately it isn't, and this would likely be the case for the next few months, simply because we're still battling issues with food production. We've seen from some northern states going on a protectionist stance, meaning that they are going to prioritize their produce for their indigenes first before sending down to other states in the country. We're still having issues with logistics costs simply because petrol prices and even diesel prices are skyrocketing. And this is, and most of the trucks that bring food into other states in the country are diesel run. So that also feeds into their costs, feeds into the cost of food items. Essentially, the issues that are causing low agricultural productivity have significantly increased in the past few months, and this would likely remain until we see some significant strides from the government to actually address these issues. And for the layman, or for the average Nigerian, average consumer, the increase in commodity prices will still continue. I think the final issue feeding into this is exchange rate depreciation, and this is coming into the price of, or feeding into domestic commodity prices through the high importation costs. The import duty on the exchange rate for import duty has also increased as well to reflect, the actual market rate. And it moved from around, I think, 950 naira to $1 to over 1,200. So now that exchange rate depreciation is feeding into the import cost for commodity items, and essentially this upward trend in food prices would largely continue.
Now, IMF is giving a lot of advice. First, they said that our reserve will drop to about 29 billion, and then they're asking CBN to raise about 2 trillion through OMO bills. Obviously, that's to mop up cash and maybe deal with inflation. Do these strategies sound like what can bring succor to the common man?
So I'll talk about it in two ways, because there are two aspects to actually addressing the rise in commodity prices in Nigeria today. The first is what the IMF is speaking to, which is on the monetary policy side of things. And the approach to this is to mop up excess liquidity in the system. Why this route is extremely important is because we've seen an increase in cash in circulation. And it just goes off of the back of economic theory, where we say, where we define inflation to an extent as too much money chasing too few goods. So we know that commodities in the market are in short supply, but there's also an increase in cash in the system. And this happened from the Naira redesign that took place in Q4 2023 into Q1 2023. There was an influx of new Naira notes alongside the old Naira notes. And we did see this uptick materialize in the total cash in circulation. Now, whether people are actually using it to spend so much is another thing for another day, because disposable income is low. But we do know that there's an influx of cash in the system. And one way to actually reduce the impact of that on prices or to stabilize prices is to mop up this excess liquidity. And issuing OMO bills does that from the CBN side of things.
Okay.
And also the CBN removing the cap on the standard deposit facility also does this. So basically the idea is encourage people to bring in money to invest or to save more. So that there's less cash in the system that could drive up prices. That's what the IMF is speaking to from the CBN side of things.
Okay.
But I wanted to, it seems you have a question just before I go on.
No, we're just out of time. That's
I see.
Okay, but you can just summarize in less than a minute.
Okay, summarizing, fiscal and monetary policy consolidation is important. The structural issues on the fiscal side of things need to also be addressed alongside these contractionary monetary policy measures to actually bring down prices.
All right, Dumebi, thank you so much. We'll certainly have you on Thursday, and I'm sure we can, broaden on that conversation. But thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.